You found me on YouTube. How many of my YouTube videos have you watched?
One and a half.
Okay, so you haven't really been exposed to much.
No, but I really liked what I heard.
Okay. So give me, I don't have any history. I mean, you literally sent in the request form like an hour ago or maybe an hour and a half ago, and it just so worked out that we could, so I have no history of nothing.
Yeah. So my history is I have a long history of bulimia and dieting.
Okay. I gotta
and
move this.
I've tried a lot of different things to get better.
Like, tell me what you've done. What type of work have you done?
I worked with counselors. I did outpatient treatment when I was first married. That got me to the point where I stopped binging and purging for about 5 years. I was still emotionally
How old are you? How old are you, Ann?
I'm 39.
Okay.
I'm 39. So, yeah, and so that, but I still didn't know how to not eat emotionally.
Yeah, when did you start dieting? Like, when did you start really focusing in on your body?
14.
Okay, I was going to say, for most people, it's when they're teenagers. It doesn't even have to be I'm overweight. It can be the focus of I'm thin and I like it. I need to keep it, you know?
Yeah.
So 14 is the earliest you can recall.
Right.
Is that when you started doing something about it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you feel?
My family history is, so my mom had gastric bypass like 5 or 7 years ago. She's a huge binge eater, and so that's what I grew up in.
Yeah, I was going to say, my next question for you was, when did you realize that body image was really important? So at 14 is the first time you actually implemented something to do about it. When did you realize I need to be scared of weight?
Yeah, she always wouldn't do things because she felt fat. She was a little fat, but, you know, anyway, so it was always a huge deal. Like, don't be fat, you can't do anything. You know?
Got it. So you were raised in a very thin supremacist environment with someone who had that, but was failing at it, and it was defining. Like, I won't go in, someone who like is obsessive around the car they drive, they will not drive in a car that does not represent their grandeur, right? So it's a form of narcissism. I don't know if you know that. I mean, it's self-righteousness. There's the level of loftiness around what you want to be personified as. And so that's why it was so catastrophic. Even though you're thinking back, you're like, she wasn't even that big, but it was catastrophic. That's because she's holding herself to a really higher standard. And some of that is symptomatic of kind of a personality problem that that's what this is, right? It's the idea around that thin supremacy. So anyways, keep on going. Not that I need to know much more other than it tells me kind of where you were developmentally.
Yeah.
When you started to create the awareness of the importance of fatness or thinness, right? And so I'm assuming it was probably maybe more like 8, 9, and 10 years old for you.
Oh, definitely. There was a shift somewhere between 3rd and 4th and 5th grade.
Okay, that's right there. Yeah, because before that, it's not. You're just like whatever. It doesn't. You're not relating to it socially. You're just relating to it. Oh, that's my mom. Weird thing. You don't question it. As you start to develop that social interaction in grade school, and where you're trying to, like, do I have friends? Where do I fit in? You know, that 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, that kind of where it starts to increase prior to junior high, where it gets really severe. I'm assuming you started to see, well, you know, the thin, pretty girls are more popular, and the larger, fatter girls are not, and they don't get invited. And you're hearing your mom's, you know, issue too, and it becomes like, well, I don't want to be excluded. So that it probably came across in the thought as a child as I need to avoid exclusion. So I want to be liked. I want to be, which is what we all want, right? And so you probably connected being thinner to being likable
Oh, definitely.
way, way earlier than 14. That's what I was looking for.
We weren't a military family, but I still changed schools every year. We still moved a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, and if you know how it is when you move and you're a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being accepted is a big deal. So,
yeah, because you want to, it's accepted whether you're moving a lot or not. But when you're moving a lot, it's like it's like a consistent theme around having to reintroduce yourself. And as you get older, as you can probably recall, as you get older, those grade school groups become more exclusive, especially like when you get into junior high and like, where do I fit in? But anyway, so being approachable in a culture that values thinnerness and physical attractiveness, and are you pretty as a girl? You know, for a boy, it would be, is he a partier? Is he fun? Is he athletic? You know, there's certain divisions that are created culturally, and we still live in those divisions. Are you Republican or are you a liberal? You know, are you a country person or are you city folk? You know, what type of exercise are you doing? Are you going to CrossFit or are you a yoga? You know, are you gluten-free or are you a vegan? Anyways, so what are you hoping to...
Ridiculous.
Go ahead.
It gets ridiculous.
Well, we're all so there's a lot of our population still in that juvenile state of mind. They haven't really gotten to the heart of themselves as humans. So, but anyway, so you watched about one video. What video was that?
You were talking about HCG and bulimia, and I just had I'd heard some rumors about people using the protocol to help get them past bulimia. And then you weren't talking about that per se. Your video was specifically, let's say you were talking about a client who had lost some weight, and you were asking if people had used HCG as a form of bulimia. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
like it's a purge. I have quite a few of them out there. So was the video called HCG Bulimia?
It might have been.
Got it. And so you saw that on YouTube somehow and were like, "Ooh, I'm going to watch that."
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it sounds like me right now. My, you know, like part of because I've got about 15 pounds on me that I've just had hanging around for a long time. And I had a successful HCG round 2 years ago, and I got pregnant, had a baby, and then I've had the same weight hanging around, and I've obviously been struggling with bulimia with it, because it's kind of a pattern.
I want some clarity really quick. You're struggling, like, are you purging?
Yeah.
Okay. Versus I'm struggling because I'm using HCG as a purge. I wanted to know if it was the literal, like you're back into the bulimic tendency. Got it. Oh, that is so sucky. Not because I'm judging you, but it's a terrible place. No. It's a terrible place to be. It's freaking crazy.
I can tell my mood too. You know, I'm like,
oh yeah,
this is why I'm depressed.
That's why you have to purge. That's why you're purging. Because it's like an immediate mood shift. Like I can relax if I can just go get rid of all of my anxiety about getting fat in the moment. It's not about the food. It's about the fatness that you think is happening. It tells me a lot about how intense your feelings are about your weight. Like it's life or death.
I know. It's too, I don't want it to be this way, but the truth of it is I've really been stuck in, I can't go swimming with the kids because I still have these 15 pounds stuck on my butt.
I guarantee you sound just like your mom.
I know I do.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like catastrophized.
So sad.
Well, it's
so not what I wanted. I know.
Yeah. Well, how do you change it, right? I mean, it sounds like you've had a lot of help and none of it's really hit the heart of it, has it?
Yeah.
No. What is it that you heard that you thought, I'm going to talk to this girl? I am sending
because the thing that, you're not, I've had different consultations with people because I've done group things, you know, online and over the internet, on phones, and I feel like I'm more on a, like, I feel like I need more of a one-on-one idea, at least sometimes, you know what I mean, or somebody that I can connect with one-on-one every now and then, at least, you know, and so I've been trying to search that out. And the thing that is different with you was there's a lot of people that talk about, okay, this is how the naturally thin do it. This is how you can eat without dieting and get to your naturally thin self. And they have some experience with eating disorders because that's just part of it when you're dealing with people who've had diets. One thing that made you different is you have a specific emphasis with bulimia, and I felt like I could just be truthful and real with you. Like, I am trying the HCG diet because I did have success, and I quit binging and purging for a amount of time, you know, and I felt good about that. It gave me, like, a motivation. Like, I know you hate the idea, I'm sure, any kind of dieting when somebody has
No, you realize that I have suffered myself. Like, I don't just study this. Like,
okay.
Like I am, you're talking to someone who has been there, gone down to suicide, and is fully recovered and have been recovered for 19 years. You're not talking to someone who has interest in this. You're talking to someone who can tell you exactly how you're feeling because I know it from the inside. So with that said, you're aware that so what I need to find out is, because you haven't had enough time on my YouTube channels, which are very direct. You'll notice that whatever you watched, I am extremely direct around, this is what you're going to need to do, right? So what I need from you is, where are you going with this? Do you want to be thinner, or do you want to be free from this shit?
So why can't I have both?
Because I love that question. This is relevant. Don't you agree? Isn't that if we could answer this, we could make millions, we could make billions of dollars if we could help people become thin supremacists and to be superior in their narcissism and not have consequences, right? You can win. You can be super self-centered around your thinness.
1 second.
No worries.
Real quick hug.
Okay, so we left off with the question of, okay, why can't you get recovery and thinness? Why can't you have both? Well, let's think about why, because this has a lot to do with why you want thinness. That's why. I know when you hear that, you're like, she's right, and it doesn't feel good to have that said. It's because of why you want thinness. It has a lot to do, and clearly you are desperate for thinness. Like, it's not just, oh, I just like being thin. No. It is massive in terms of how you are identifying yourself. Thinness to you is your value. It is what makes you feel good about yourself. So it's become an integral part of how you value yourself, how you value yourself in a social setting, how you value yourself sexually. It is probably taken over almost your entire identity. And that's why. So because of that, when you ask for thinness, when you signed the contract with the devil, you did, okay? You didn't read the fine print, did you? Where it said, that's fine, you're going to get it, but you now are required, your whole life is now held hostage by what you have to do to just keep it. So because of how much energy and emphasis and the importance of thinness, you cannot stop thinking about it. So the freedom that we're talking about, it doesn't exist for you. It will never exist under the context for why you're trying to be thin. It's impossible. You feel that? Sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
because of how important it is to you and the reasoning behind it and the context. There's a lot of people out there who are thin who don't believe that it makes them more valuable.
I agree with that.
So you're going to agree with everything I say because it's true. And you know it. It just hurts. So that's something that has to improve. If you're going to get any recovery, you have to admit the truth when you hear it. So that's why. I mean, do you think about it? If you want and like being thin to the degree that you do, is there any possible way that you can be free from the obsessive compulsiveness around what you're going to need to do to keep it? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because it needs to sink in.
I don't know why I got lost halfway through.
That's okay. It's okay, because it's going to create suckiness in you. It's going to suck to hear it. Because you're still suffering because you're grasping onto straws around that you truly believe that there's a way to be thin and not be insane. And I'm basically showing you evidence that you're going to feel is absolutely true. That's going to shut it down, and that does not feel good. It's going to cause cognitive dissonance. This conversation is going to make you uncomfortable because I'm basically telling you why you're going to stay in this space. And you won't be surprised either. You're not going to want to hear it, but you're not going to be surprised because your evidence is showing it just goes in cycles. You're just going in circles. It never really pans out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've been stuck.
Well, yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I'm stuck.
So let me say it again. The reason why you can't have both is because the amount of emphasis and need that you have for thinness, you need thinness. Think of the energy behind need. You need it so much that you are willing to cause damage to your body. You need it so much that it causes massive psychological trauma. You need it so much that you are willing to sacrifice your entire mental well-being for a physical facade of thinner, whatever it is, safety. You know, so when you add that to your reasoning, is it even realistic to think that you can have freedom from thinking about it? Freedom from monitoring it? Freedom from worrying, micromanaging your food, constantly thinking what's in the food, how much am I eating, how much do I exercise? Is there any possible way with that type of emphasis?
No, because I have such a strong need.
Good job. Connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry to bring you that terrible news.
No, I knew there was something else. I knew there was something I was missing.
Yeah.
Because I tried eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full.
Yeah, it doesn't work when you have that desperate need. It would be great if you didn't give a shit. Then it would work. Then eating to hunger would be so easy. It would be relaxed. You could just breathe and give yourself that. You could think about other things. Your whole brain could go elsewhere. But because you have this need, your brain is hijacked to protect the need. So the idea that you can attain your need and not have to worry about it, defend it, be paranoid is hilarious.
Yeah. So do I have to figure out what this need is?
No, you just need to know. Just say this. Robin, you're right. It's a life and death need at this point. Like, I feel like I'm going to die. Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Just go into your current present moment. The idea that we can go in your past and connect the dots, we can do that later because it'll make sense to you why it's so valuable. I mean, we can just look at the first notes I took, right? Bulimia, which is basically your fight or flight response to try to be thin. It's really about thinness. It has nothing to do with the food. And you know what I just said is on freaking target. But it's really about the life and death ideology around thinness that your mom taught you and that you internalized as something that is right and true. Like thinness is one of the most important things to life. Even though intellectually you hear that and you're like, I would never teach that. You feel that way about yourself. To you, it is the most important thing.
I know.
Yeah. So,
like a crazy person.
Well, to me, it is understandable. Right? It's not like you're it's not like you're maliciously believing that people who are overweight are terrible people, even though you might have at some point in your life, but you just believe that
I don't project this on other people. I mean, I'm sure I do. I don't realize it, but their standards are their standards, and my standards are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, much higher.
It's a personal.
Like you have really.
It's a personal.
You mean your personal, really highfalutin standards for yourself to be comfortable? So that's where the narcissism comes in. So the thing about narcissism that I want to make sure that you understand when I communicate this to you is that narcissism is not like an all or nothing personality thing. There's grades of it, okay? And that we probably know pathological narcissists. I mean, there's absolute examples of this on TV, you know, in the media. I mean, a pathological narcissist will do anything to be at the top, include poison everybody below them, right? They will throw everything, you know, you're not that. The pathological narcissists that I've worked with, okay, because I have worked with pathological, they truly believe that fat people are inferior and shouldn't exist. Okay, that's not you. That wasn't me either. However, you believe that unless you are thin, you don't exist. So it's an internalization of the narcissism, which to me is an indication in this situation that you have internalized the narcissistic system. So you have been basically brainwashed, okay? Voluntarily, you internalize this. You made a choice. You signed that contract around, I want to be thin, because it is something that is valuable to narcissists. So in a way, it's like the puzzle piece that fits that type of pathology.
Honey, I can't have you in here right now. I'm sorry.
So the narcissism, you're on the receiving end. You are complying to a narcissist. Like, and it may not be your husband, although there might be some issues in there, but because you would be attractive to someone like that because you're compliant to those types of extrinsic, severe standards, right? So social scientists are looking at this as a societal issue because of the degree of this issue that's occurring is pretty massive, right? Eating disorders in particular have skyrocketed over the last 20 years. Like enough so that they don't necessarily think it's a psychological, like a personal problem anymore. Although they do say that does exist. And of course there might be struggles going on, but we're seeing this on such a large scale, you know, that this may be a social issue stemming from what we're teaching our society. It could be a societal systemic problem.
Sorry, she's jumping on the bed behind me.
That's okay.
I'm listening to you.
I'm okay. So your response to it is if you have no value.
Seriously. I can't talk right now. Daddy can go get Jacob. He's not.